12 seems to be the age when kids start putting the heat on their parents about the truth behind Santa. I was certainly in no exception to this rule. How where Santa's elves are able to make that video game I wanted in their workshop? I thought a Nintendo owned Mario. Or how about the ever infamous visiting every house in one night? Question: did Jolly Old Man own some sort of time-extending device? Or perhaps most obvious question of all, how could he have lived for this long? A lot of people say he trains apprentices who take his place every few decades. Others claim he's just immortal, as for everything else, magic. Seemed to be a universal lie, as everyone agreed on. Whatever the case, I just went on with the conclusion that my parents doing, of course, when they denied it, they claim ignorance if I confronted them. But it wasn't enough to dissuade my beliefs. On one Christmas Eve, I couldn't sleep as these questions danced amongst my dreams of sugar cereal and video games. I decided I would investigate the noises coming from my living room. This time surely I would catch my dad or mom in the act of stowing presents under the tree. At least then, they'd let me on the truth. But as I entered the living room, I saw a man before me I did not recognize. He was dressed in red and white and was slightly overweight the body, and he wore a stringy fake white beard in his hair, or what remained of it. He was graying around the edges of the classic Santa hat, and his eyes were wide with fright as he dropped the presents under the tree. Being a trigger youth I came to one of the two conclusions. Either was a home invader stealing my family's gifts, or this was the real Santa. I opened my mouth to scream, but the man rushed over towards me and covered my mouth. "Shh," he said, putting a finger to his mouth. Trying to smile, tears began to roll down my cheeks. I was petrified of this man. Then slowly he took back his hand and extended towards me. "It's all right there, little one. You know who I am, right?" I nodded, shaking his head back and trembling. Then the man nodded as well. He grabbed the empty sack lying on the floor and gestured to the tree. "Look, see? I bring gifts. Now run along to bed or I might have to put you on the naughty list." He started drifting towards the deeper, hearty voice, stereotypically associated with Kris Kringle. I wasn't fooled. Regardless, I wiped my tears and began to step back from the living room, trying to create some distance between me and the stranger. The man simply watched, wiped his brow, and proceeded to approach the fireplace. I stopped and observed, confused as I was how he was going to leave my house, but a blast of green flames erupted from the chimney. The man fell back to the floor. I couldn't see his face, but I'm certain it was twisted fear like my own. A massive bony hand sprawled from the fire, and the arm that followed was draped in raggy fur. Then another arm, and then the skull of some wild creature with two large horns followed. Nearly as large as the fireplace itself, the bones popped and snapped, and it slammed its hands onto the floor. The entire monster was engulfed by the flame, but yet it didn't seem to burn anything in the house. "Eddie," the monster declared, speaking what I guessed to be the man on the floor. No, Eddie," shouted back. "But I did my part, you see. 10,000 houses, just like you said, right? 10,000? I did my part. And yet you allowed a human child to see you? You know the rules. Look, I've learned my lesson. I'm sorry I made a mistake. Just let me go, please. I delivered all the..." "Let you go? Did you ever let that woman go, Eddie? I didn't seem to recall you letting her go. This was your second chance, and you've wasted it." "What are you gonna do?" Eddie whispered. I could make out the quaking figure to be overshadowed by the creature of its fireplace. The next sound to be heard was a crunch, followed by a soft and beginning snapping to finish. I jumped at the sight of the sound repeated a few times, finally letting out a shaky breath. I prayed in my head that it wasn't what I thought, but then when the creature reared its head towards me, I saw the red and white pants hanging from its mouth as it chewed on Eddie's corpse. I watched it slurp up its legs and like strands of spaghetti. I covered my eyes and tried to tell myself that it wasn't real. And it wasn't real, it wasn't real. After a quiet minute, I peeked between my fingers to see the monster staring back at me from the fireplace. The pace of my breathing grew quicker and sharper. My eyes were unable to escape the grasp from those empty eye sockets. Now run off back to bed, little one, or else I might put you on the naughty list. My legs finally found the strength to leave. I sprinted from my parents' room, diving into the sheets with them. There wasn't a trace of events of that night before when my family went down to the tree the next morning. There was even one note next to an empty glass and a half-eaten cookie on the table. Have a Merry Christmas, S. Claus. As much as I tried to make up the warm, comforting atmosphere that came with on Christmas Day, I couldn't help but watching the fireplace, terrified that monster would return. At least I knew the truth about Santa Claus. And that, my little pretties, was The Naughty List, a Christmas creepypasta written by RedNovaTyrant. My final thoughts on this story? I gotta be honest, this was actually a pretty well-made creepypasta. I'm not gonna lie, this is actually a really well-made Christmas creepypasta. To start things off, I've seen a couple people actually narrated this story, such as Mr. Creepypasta, Lighthouse Horror, and etc. I mean, this is actually a really well-made creepypasta. So basically, this is basically, a man or Santa Claus delivers presents and says he'll put somebody on the naughty list if they, do this or something. But I would have to say, I enjoyed the story, a lot. It was a very well-made story. I'm gonna sit here and say this right now that I've seen a couple people actually narrated this story, and the messed up thing is about Santa being, or someone dressed up as Santa or something, being killed by this whatever creature was. Holy hell. I mean, it's really freaky. It was a very freaky story. I'm not denying that now. It was a very freaky story for what this story is. I mean, it's a good story for what this is because of the detail, the storyline, everything about this. But I would have to say that this actually had a pretty good concept for the story. And I'm not gonna lie right now, this story actually had a really good concept for what this story could be as, and I'm impressed. The grammar was really good, as well as the sentence structuring, the storyline, and it's gotta really put me in the creeps right here. I'm getting chills down my spine right now just by the sound of how messed up the story is. But I mean, the story of its own self was just flat out awesome. Not gonna lie right there, this was a fantastic story. So, to the author, which is Red Nova Tyrant. Sorry, I almost said giant, but I meant to say tyrant. Great job with this story. I'm gonna say this was fantastic. This was a lot of fun for me to narrate. It's a great story. I enjoyed it, and yeah. For those of you guys who are curious, I recommend you guys check this story out if you haven't. It's on the regular Creepypasta Wiki, and yeah, I recommend you guys give it a shot. So, anyway, so that being the case, and that being said, I'm gonna sit here and wrap up this review now. Like I'm gonna say with this review, and like I'm gonna say, this is just simply my own personal opinion, and if you happen to disagree with me, that's fine too. We're all entitled to our own opinions in regards to these creepypastas, and this is simply my own personal thoughts. My final rating of this story would have to be what can I give this one? I guess 10 out of 10. It's a very good, enjoyable creepypasta. It's definitely well made in detail. There's definitely a lot of effort into this, and I definitely would have to say it's a fun story, definitely worth to watch, and I honestly, not only watch but read. It's a great story. I really do appreciate how good this one is, and I do appreciate how fantastic and amazing the concept is of its own self. So, anyways, I guess with that being the case and with that being said, what did you guys think about this creepypasta? Did you all enjoy it? Did you all not? Also, what you have done person to help make this story a lot better? Feel free to leave me know your thoughts down in the comments below. I'm the Queen of Lions. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and if you happen to be brand new here on this channel, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because yeah, I make brand new videos every single day. Don't forget to ring the notification bell to when I upload, so that way you guys will not miss an upload. And as always, please roll the outro because I'm out.